Before every statistic, there is a story. Every year, thousands of Canadians rely on donated blood, plasma, stem cells, and organs to survive, to manage chronic illness, to recover from cancer, to get a second chance at life. For some, donation means regular blood transfusions. For others, it's plasma infusions that keep their immune system functioning. For some, it's a stem cell transplant, their only path to survival. And for others, it's an organ transplant that makes life possible again.
I was diagnosed with lupus when I was 22. I am currently 36, so it's been over a decade now. And it started off with a lot of wrist pain, and doctors thought that it was tendonitis because I was working an office job, and then it progressed into overall like all body ache. And so it happened like that for about 6 months, and then after a lot of doctors' visits, I went to see a rheumatologist, and they said either I had rheumatoid arthritis or lupus, and then I got diagnosed with lupus at that time.
Sickle cell disease, for those that don't know, it's a very debilitating, painful disease. It's mainly characterized by those painful pain crises. And I think my life was pretty much living life on red alert, ready for when those crises would kind of come. So I had a really awesome childhood, I would say. My parents did, and my family members did an amazing job at trying to make sure that I felt normal, that I felt like every other kid. But the truth of the matter is, when my sickle cell would come, it would remind me yeah, you're not normal. With such a severe illness, it really was very difficult on my family, because they're afraid of just letting their child just be a kid, play, go to swimming lessons, run, jump. Those things were oh my gosh, is she gonna get sick? Are we gonna have to spend days in the hospital? So whilst I wanna say I had the most normal childhood and it was regular, it really revolved around making sure I didn't end up in hospital, I didn't end up sick.
Living with sickle cell has been very struggling, mainly because with sickle cell, it's very random. You don't know whenever you're gonna have a pain crisis. And for that instance, it's a lot of events being missed, school time being missed. Like, for example, birthday parties can be missed because I don't know when I'm gonna have a pain crisis, or just going out. But as time goes and I get older and I grow, I learn how to manage my sickle cell anemia more and better.
Basically, at 3 months, when we went back for our a medical, the sort of the follow-up, he was still jaundiced, and so that was alarming, because it should have the jaundice should have went away. So they did some tests, and at 3 months they found out that he had the ducts in his liver were small or non-existent.
Avery is our fourth child, and at 4 months old, he became really ill with a fever, a really high fever that wouldn't go away. We took him to our local hospital, and the doctors there just said, it's flu season, he has the flu. I had the flu at the time, and so they thought that that's what he was sick with. But days passed, and even with medication like Tylenol to bring his fever down, as soon as the Tylenol wore off, his fever would shoot right back up again. And eventually, we got concerned enough to go back to the hospital, and they finally ran blood tests, and the blood tests determined that he was very ill. His blood was not doing well. And immediately they called the Hospital of Sick Children. And when the Hospital of Sick Children received his blood tests, they determined that Avery needed to be transported there immediately. And so we were driven there by ambulance right away. And that very night, we found out that Avery was in critical condition. And they didn't know what it was, what that was wrong with him, but they knew that something was very wrong. And we soon came to find out that Avery had a rare genetic disorder, which is called hemophagocytic lymphohistiocytosis, HLH for short. And that disease basically is very similar to cancer in that the white blood cells begin to attack the healthy cells in the body. And Avery's cells were out of control. And so in order to bring those cells under control, they had to start with chemotherapy right away. He also had to get a number of blood transfusions. He also had to be on various medications, including steroids, to bring his body under control. And we found out that while chemotherapy was a temporary solution for his disease, that ultimately he would need a bone marrow transplant.
For African, Caribbean, and Black patients, access to these life-saving donations is not equal. Across donation systems, Black patients face longer wait times, lower match rates, and greater uncertainty, not because of biology, but because the systems we rely on do not reflect the communities we are meant to serve.
My family and I never really thought that there would be a day where I wouldn't be living with sickle cell. It wasn't something I even spent time imagining. I just had, taken it upon myself, and we knew like this was my reality for the rest of my life. And so knowing that I actually had a shot of being completely healthy, being healed, was incredible. It was so exciting.
Yeah, when I first learned that I needed to do these plasma infusions, it was very overwhelming because I've never done infusions before, and so I didn't really know what to expect. There was a lot of questions that the nurses had just around if I've had previous allergies, and I didn't know if my body was going to react well to it, and so it took a while for me to even get used to how long it takes, and I did have allergic reactions to these infusions, and so.
For stem cell donation in particular, matching depends on highly specific tissue markers called HLA types. Because global registries lack representation from Black communities, Black patients are far less likely to find a match. In Canada, this is sometimes as low as 16%.
Once we found out that Avery needed a bone marrow transplant, one of the things that we found out too was that the number of Black people on donor registration lists was very, very small. And so that if we didn't find a donor within our family, then we would have to get involved to find a donor outside of our family if one couldn't be found on the registry. So our entire family ended up going to the hospital for the genetic testing to see which one of us would be a match for Avery. Stefan and I already knew that because we only carried half of Avery's genetic makeup, it was probable that neither of us would be a proper match, but they tested us anyways. And then they tested our other 3 children, Sienna, Aiden, and Gabrielle. Gabrielle was around 2 years old at the time, just about 2.5. It was agonizing waiting for those results to find out if one of us was a match. And right on my birthday, we got a call from Avery's hematologist at the time, and we found out that Gabrielle was a match. And not only was she a match, but she was a perfect match. They've got like 10 criteria, and she ended up being a perfect 10 out of 10 match. Now, because she was so young, it was really hard to have that conversation with her. I mean, she was very intelligent, even at 2.5 years old. So all she knew at that time was that she was going to help save her brother, and she was excited to do it. She was excited about it.
People are donating blood. It means the world to me, to be honest. It means a lot that there are people out there who aren't donating blood for a kid like me to basically be saved. Like getting blood when we're in pain crises, it basically saves our lives, because when our hemoglobin is low, it's trouble and it's a problem. So knowing that there's blood donors out there, it's the world, and I appreciate it. And to the blood donors out there, I would tell them that I appreciate them a lot.
At the age of 4, when he got the full liver, he was like, one of the things they were scared of was he was going to die from failure to thrive. So his body, I remember at one point he was supposed to have a transplant and they canceled it because one of the surgeons that was supposed to stitch, as Mom was saying earlier, the biotubes and the veins and everything, he wasn't available. And he was a specialist because everything was so small, so minuscule, because of the failure to thrive, which is a symptom of the Alagille syndrome. Like he was on, when you do the chart, he was on the 5th percentile. So if I remember correctly if I'm wrong, out of 100 children, if you're in the 50th, your normal weight and size. Care was 5, so out of 100, only 5 children were his size. Now, after his liver, he's in the 95th percentile. So his height, he's, taller than me. It's incredible. But yeah, at the time, the 20% of my liver that I would take and that Mom said would have grown back would have been his full liver. And then it just happened to be when I got that call and I gave it to Mom on the Sunday morning, they said, pack your bags, come in. You're going to do a bunch of tests. If everything goes well, he'll have the surgery tomorrow morning. And that's when I remember you said, the girl, oh my gosh, one person's going to get the eyes, someone else is going to get the heart. And like Mom said, we don't know to this day who gave him the liver. It could have been a female, a male. What we do know is it got flown by plane 4.5 hours away. Whether that was Canada, the US, I'm not sure, but God rest their soul, they gave their whole body to helping others live.
These stories remind us that the need is urgent and deeply personal. Right now, too many Black patients are still waiting for compatible blood, waiting for plasma, waiting for a match, waiting for the call that could change everything. And this is something we have the power to change. When more Black people participate across donation systems, blood, plasma, stem cells, and organ donation, more lives are saved, more families stay whole, more stories get a different ending. If you're eligible to donate, you can take action today. Sometimes it's an hour, sometimes it's a cheek swab, but the impact can last a lifetime. The next life saved starts with us. Together, we can build a future where every patient has a real chance to survive. Black donors save lives, and today, that life could be saved by you. Before every statistic, there is a story. Every year, thousands of Canadians rely on donated blood, plasma, stem cells, and organs to survive, to manage chronic illness, to recover from cancer, to get a second chance at life. For some, donation means regular blood transfusions. For others, it's plasma infusions that keep their immune system functioning. For some, it's a stem cell transplant, their only path to survival. And for others, it's an organ transplant that makes life possible again. These stories remind us that the need is urgent and deeply personal. Right now, too many Black patients are still waiting for compatible blood, waiting for plasma, waiting for a match, waiting for the call that could change everything. And this is something we have the power to change. When more Black people participate across donation systems, blood, plasma, stem cells, and organ donation, more lives are saved, more families stay whole, more stories get a different ending. If you're eligible to donate, you can take action today. Sometimes it's an hour, sometimes it's a cheek swab, but the impact can last a lifetime. The next life saved starts with us. Together, we can build a future where every patient has a real chance to survive. Black donors save lives, and today, that life could be saved by you.